This is Derek Lee for Blurred Culture, and I'm here talking with Emily Armstrong, the lead singer and badass extraordinaire of Dead Sara. Hey, Emily, how's your day going? I hear you've been cleaning a little bit.
I've been cleaning a lot. Yeah, it's one of those mornings. Maybe it's because there's no sun out or something.
Yeah,
you know, I had to, I don't know. You just get those feelings where you just feel like everything's really dirty and then you get carried away.
You just got to do what Marie Kondo does and just tidy up a little bit, right?
But then a little bit becomes a lot. I can't stop when I start cleaning. I can't stop.
Whatever gets you to that happy place, though. So, well, I'm glad you could take a break from your cleaning and talk a little bit about what's been going on with you guys, what's been going on with Dead Sara. Now, you guys have gone through a lot of stuff over the past couple of years,
yes.
When it comes to management and record labels and all that stuff. But I'm not going to rehash all of that. For those tuning in, I highly recommend a great interview that Dean Del Rey did with Emily a couple months ago. I'll post a link to that in the post below, so you can check that out. Emily, I'm excited to talk a little bit about your forthcoming album, Ain't It Tragic. I was lucky enough to get an advance listen to the final mix, and I wanted to, first of all, I want to give some mad props to Sean, because he co-produced that album, and I don't think anybody could tell that was done, that was recorded all in your rehearsal space. I think it sounds flawless. I think the mix of it and the mastering of it came out real clean, and I'm really impressed with it all.
I mean, imagine we've been doing demos in there for a long time.
Yeah.
For 8+ years.
Yeah, as you mentioned.
So we know.
Yeah, all the spaces, all the sounds and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about the actual songs on the album.
Okay.
Curious to know. So, how much of the album was actually written before COVID?
It's a funny. I mean, I don't think any of them were completely finished. I would say the ones that were like the closest to being done and not completely rewired and, molded was Lover Stay Wild, Hands Up, Heroes, and there's one more. Oh, Gimme Gimme had, no, that was almost, that we thought it was done. Oh no, Good Times. Nope, that was done. So those were probably the ones that were like the closest. Okay. And then all the other ones were probably a shell of a song or just not written at all. And we just really took our time to fill it in with really good stuff.
Yeah, I was kind of guessing on them and I got them all wrong.
Oh yeah? What is yours?
No, I thought Starry Night was pre-COVID, but obviously that isn't.
See, that was a shell.
It was a shell. Okay.
Like the only thing that stayed on that song was the beginning.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's okay. I feel you. Well, so I guess I'm not going to play this COVID versus pre-COVID game because I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's talk about, I guess, Starry Night. First of all, I love that introduction. I love that song. What was the inspiration for that song, and why did you pick that song to open up the album?
I think it just had a sense of letting go in it, and it has a lot to do with, it's a funny thing. I'll kind of back up a little bit from when we started writing that song. If you listened to like the first take of that song, just like when we were writing it, because we usually record when we're writing, it sounded very 80s in the way like Joy Division.
Yeah.
Very like lo-fi and just this beat that just kept going and a very mellow melody just kind of going on the back. And then I just kind of did Starry Night, free to move on now. And that was like the basic of the song. And then it wasn't until, you know, fast forward 4 years later, and it's gone through so many different renditions, and we even had like a key change at one point in that song. Thank God it's not there anymore. It did not work. But you know, it had all kinds of things happening to it. And it wasn't until I was fully done with the lyrics and we recorded it, and I was very, very stingy on keeping that 80s kind of vibe to it, which then kind of sounded like early Killers and like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, you know. I had a little bit of that flavor. But obviously Dead Sara, those choruses, I believe, are just more. And then I was sitting there writing all the lyrics down because, you know, you have to do that for the end of the album so they could be on the album and stuff like that in our website. And I was like, oh my God, I just realized what this song is about. And I recalled listening back to the song and writing it, and I kept getting a picture of our first album, right? I'm always like, why am I keep like getting this like feeling of the first album? And then
but honestly, it really doesn't sound like the first album.
No,
not at all.
But the thing is that I kept thinking of the picture of the first album, not the actual sound of the first album. And then I was like, holy shit, I'm writing this song to that person.
Oh.
And I was like, holy, like I read the lyrics and I was like sitting there, like realizing it. And I was in front of my girlfriend and I'm like, oh my, and we listened to it over and over again. And I'm listening to it and being like, it's okay. Like things are not going to be what you thought they were 10 years from now.
Picture of the girl who's like looking up, right?
That's me.
No, but that's who you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I want to re-listen to this song and kind of like have a picture in front of my face now.
If you do, and like at the end, you know, like was ending all that you really feared, and it's just like all this stuff, and I'm like, no wonder why.
Let's go and everything, right? It's like
just let go of what the future is because you just don't know.
Yeah, wow.
You know, and all the ups and downs and all this kind of stuff, and it's like you're still here, you're still, and it's just like this weird thing where I was just like, this is exactly what it's about, like just being able to let go, like just to be who you are. You still have this life to live, and you still have, you know, a lot to show. And I was trying not to cry in front of my girlfriend, you know. I was just like, this is insane how much that is, you know, like how, and I didn't really know what the song was about when I was writing it. I just knew, I don't think I was able to really see that when I was writing it. It was probably too much for me emotionally. And it wasn't until it was completely done that I was able to see it objectively and go, holy shit.
Well, yeah, I need to have another listen to this song now with this context. That's
yeah, and I'm actually I'm getting emotional just talking about it. It's so, you know, and that was the only song where I didn't understand what it was, but I had emotional connection to it until it was fully realized.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty intense. Well, how about we get off the emotional stuff right now? I want to get to a song that I think is very fun. And I think it's probably one of your more danceable tracks I've heard in a while. It's
let me guess.
What are you guessing?
Just kidding. Go ahead.
It's the third track. All I Know Is That You Left Me for Dead.
Really?
I mean, look, this is, I kept hearing this one little lick in that song, like down, down, down.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, I kept thinking Kevin Bacon and Footloose, because it's got that been working so hard, down, 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 but up. I don't know, but that song to me, well, there's another song that I think is a slapper, but you know, what did you think about that song, number 3?
We absolutely love that song.
Yeah,
that really was a song, again, written around the same time as Starry Night. And these were both just shell of songs.
Yeah, are we getting emotional now, or
No. I think it had that same feel of like the 80s, but more reminiscent of like who I love, like the Replacements, you know, like they have that dancey kind of punk rocky feel to it. And I think it's closest to like one of our songs, like Radio 1-2. I don't know if you're familiar with that song, but it has that same feel, you know? It's like dancey, but it's rock.
I think you played that Radio 1-2 at the Terror show. Probably,
because I love to play that one. And All I Know is going to be right up there with loving to play that one.
Yeah. So what song did you think I was going to say was the dance track?
Hypnotic.
Hypnotic? I would have said that one with the bass line, Gimme, Gimme.
Oh yeah, cool.
That's more of a groove song, actually.
Yeah, it is.
But
that's like one of these.
Yeah.
But also Hypnotic is one of these too.
But actually, what was so Gimme, Gimme, you had mentioned just a second ago that was something that you had been working on for a while.
No, that one was wait, was it conceived in? Yeah, it was conceived in the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, that bass line slaps. Whoever you have playing bass for you guys now.
Yeah. I think that was one of us that did that.
Yeah.
But not one of us that recorded it. It was a friend of ours that recorded it. Yeah.
Okay. Just another note that I had, Uninspired. I thought it was a lovely song. That was written during COVID. I think there was a line that talks about your unemployment being inspired, so that kind of took me off. But I kind of felt like in that one you were. That must have been a pretty emotional song for you too, for the band. I'm assuming, because I feel like that song had a lot to do or spoke on your whole issues with the label and management and stuff. I don't know. Am I right in thinking?
It was everything coming to a head, I believe, and there was no way to escape at the time. We were just in the studio every day. And I mean, I think I had one line somewhere, like, I'm uninspired by the pretty boys in rock and roll bands. And then when Sean was kind of just futzing around on the computer and some guitar line or something, and I just started singing, I was just like, it's one of those days where I was just like, I give up. Like, I don't care about anything, like, if you don't even know if tomorrow is going to be here, and, there's always like that push or that, like, just do what inspires you, do it. And I'm like, fuck you. I don't. Like, I'm not inspired by anything. Like, who could be inspired right now? So I just kind of turned it on its head and just was like, I'm uninspired. I'm going to sing about what I'm not inspired about and make it a little bit funny, So it kind of got me out of that like funk by writing about it. And it was just like one of the fastest songs we've written on, like, pretty much the whole song was written in a day.
Oh, wow. Because
I was just sitting there like, I'm uninspired. And then Sean's like, that's really good. Write that down, write it down. So I was just like sitting there writing it down. But it started off with, I'm uninspired by pretty boys and rock and roll bands. And then, I feel like that's the perfect line to set up the whole rest of the song.
That was a standout track for me. I loved it.
Awesome.
I do think that if you want to take that to the radio, though, you're going to have to get rid of the F-bomb. I think there's one F-bomb that you throw in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty of them that need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've already done clean versions of every song.
Okay, well, you're prepared. There you go.
Yeah.
And I just the last track I thought was actually pretty trippy for me.
Yeah.
A song called "Losing My Mind." I don't know. Did you do some weird tempo modulation with that, or like?
We did. Yeah.
Okay, because I thought I really thought I was losing my mind while I was listening.
Exactly.
I'm like, what is going on here? Like.
Yes. Welcome to our minds, man. You like, get a little glimpse.
It had weird flaming lips, like Post Malone kind of like meeting of the minds there. It was pretty trippy, but I thought it was a really interesting way to end that album.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I was right, that I wasn't losing my mind, that
exactly.
Down there.
Yeah. I mean, that started off like more of like a Fantagram type track.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like fast like that, like woo, woo, and I was just like, it's too happy, it's too fast, And
I think you needed to do that for the album anyways, to have it come down from the high.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when we were doing this album, we didn't know where anything was going to be except for Starry Night. We knew that this was going to open the album.
Yeah.
From the get-go. And we basically were literally losing our minds. We were like, we don't know. It was just Sean and I most of the time in the studio, right? Mm-hmm. And trying to get these songs busted open, and spent a lot of time. And he was just like, well, what if I just like slowed it down, right? And, we're not engineers, and we're not, I mean, probably now after this album, he could be considered an engineer, but he just turned down the track to slow it down, and my vocal went down with it, obviously. And then we were listening to it, and we were kind of making fun of it, and we're like, actually, this kind of slaps, And so by the end of that, and then we sped it up again, and we kind of did our thing, or we stayed low, and we tried to stay in the same key. And I was like, no, just keep it in that key, man. There's something cool about that. I'll just sing over it. And so I just, basically that's how it happened. And we just kept it at that tempo. I sang over it. So there's still that warped vocal underneath it. And I loved that idea of like the demon, of like in you, there's like an alter like ego behind you or in it, and you're not quite yourself. And it all came together so beautifully. And then that chorus was actually a second chorus we had written for Uninspired that didn't work. Oh. And we were like, oh my gosh, it would be so great on this song. And it did. And we just Frankenstein them.
Well, the Frankenstein experiment worked. I think that was a very, very, very cool way to end the album.
Yeah. I
love the whole package. Obviously, you have the two singles that you guys released, like right in the middle, to bring you up to crescendo to that point.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys are rehearsing for tour right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are there any songs from this album that you personally singing them are connecting with more? Are there any songs that, besides the ones we maybe already talked about, I guess?
Right now in rehearsal, because it kind of changes depending on what I'm going through, I guess, and kind of letting go of what I went through. Lovers Stay Wild is really slapping right now, like in rehearsal. It's really
emotionally draining.
It feels really good.
Oh, it feels slapping.
Yeah.
I thought you said sapping. Okay.
No. It's feeling really good.
Feeling really good, yeah.
Yeah, that one, and Gimme Gimme too. It's really fun.
Brings up the energy tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah, like we just learned to play all of them, the whole album. I think that's the first time we've ever done that. Like right after we were done with the album, like we went in and we just learned to play it from beginning to end.
I have a fan question. There's a really young band that I'm particularly fond of called Speed of Light. There's a 14-year-old female singer. Her name is Riley. She had a question for you, and she wanted to know how you scream so well. Any vocal tips, vocal pointers for her?
Well, I don't have any training, so I it's hard to say it, but I would, I would go back to when I was that age. About 14, and maybe a little bit earlier, 13, when I started a band. And I loved the way my voice sounded raspy. Mm-hmm. So I would scream every rehearsal. It was so much fun because I loved walking around with the rasp. And so I think these days, or I wouldn't say these days, a lot of people try not to scream and they try not to get raspy. But I did the opposite, and I was like, I really want to be raspy. So I kind of learned what to do in order to be raspy. So therefore you could kind of not do it if you wanted to. You see what I mean?
I feel you.
I went that way. Anyway.
Have you had a lot of vocal coaching and stuff in the past?
No.
No, so it's all self-taught.
Yeah.
Knowing your body, knowing your voice, knowing your tool. Yeah, I guess that's every musician should know that.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I just want to wrap up this interview real quick. You know, as I mentioned before, you have an upcoming slate of tour dates coming up, a mix of festival dates and club gigs. It kicks off on September 17th. I'm hoping to catch one of your LA gigs. Hopefully I can. I'm anxious to see you guys live again. I'm especially pumped to reconnect with your fans, the dedicated.
Me too.
You know, I think what makes a band is the community that supports them, and your fan base is very loyal. I'd like to think I'm one of them. I've met a lot of solid people at your shows, and if anything, like Facebook or Instagram friends with them.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
Some of them are super popular, like Brian Bowen Smith. I mean, that dude's so cool, man.
Yep.
And I guess before we bounce, for the dedicated, I was wondering if you wanted to tease anything that they should maybe look out for on the album or on tour. Or message to
we have a couple of videos coming out. We have a new one coming out very soon in a couple days. And then Gimme, Gimme, we did a video for that will most likely come around the album drop. I don't know if I'm allowed to say all that, but I did.
Well, that's for the dedicated. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Emily, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Derek.
And I can't wait for you guys to drop that album, go on tour, and see you perform live again. I think that's where that's where you guys are at. Like I think your live shows kick ass. I want to see you jumping off monitors on stage.
Me too.
Oh man, can't wait.
I can't wait either, man.
So keep on rehearsing. Have fun. Have a great rest of your day. And again, thanks a lot for talking with me and Blurred Culture today.
Thank you so much, Derek.
Okay.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye.